although I've lived in the United States for the past couple of years, there are still 10 things I really don't understand about the US. Hello everyone, I'm Mary Jane. Usually I only give you my perspective as an Italian about the US, but for this video I partner up with an American YouTuber who has lived in Italy a few years and has a few things to say about weird Italian habits that he's experienced. We'll come back to that at the end of this video. For now, let's get into the 10 things I still don't understand about the US. Number 1, electric plugs. American electric plugs look like this one. And to be honest, compared to the ones that I was used to in Italy or in Europe, I find them very problematic. The thing that I plug the most in my life, because I'm a video editor, is my laptop charger. And as you can see, the laptop charger just doesn't stay inside the socket. No matter how strong I push it in or what direction I plug it in, it just doesn't stay there. And that's very awkward for me. You might think, oh, but this is Apple's design fault because the thing attached to the charger is too heavy. It happens also with other plugs. Like, the plugs are very easily pulled off. You might think, oh, but it's an old plug, maybe it's been overused. First of all, in Italy I have plugs that are 40 years old and are still perfectly functioning. Second of all, this plug that I have here next to the couch, and if I just pull the cable a little bit by chance, the plug comes off. Number 2, carbs are demonized and Americans have an obsession for proteins. Coming from Italy, well, you know, the Mediterranean diet is based on cereal and vegetable consumption. So for me, the comparison to the United States, where meat consumption is much more higher, was already a little bit of a surprise. But the problem is that people believe here that grains and carbs are the devil. Carbs is a very negatively connotated word, whereas where I come from, it's really not. If we talk about refined grains, refined flours, then we agree that they are not generally good for our bodies. But the fact that grain in general are bad for health, I just don't understand that. The modern Western average person consumes way too many proteins, especially animal-derived proteins. So I really don't understand all this obsession that Americans have for proteins. They think that chicken is the healthiest thing in the world, even if 99% of their chickens come from intensive farms, so they are really bad for your health. And here, weight loss diets are very popular. Atkins, ketogenic, zone diet, Dukan diet. These are all protein-based diets where you are supposed to eat mainly animal-derived proteins and almost zero carbs. Number 3, I absolutely don't understand why you use these windows. Let me show it to you. This is how standard American windows work. Basically, you can open them from below up, and yeah, I mean, this is quite dangerous. As you can see, there is no protection, so I'm here on the 3rd floor, and yeah, it's not very comfortable as well if you just want to hang out of the window. Or you can open it from the upper part. As you can see, I'm pretty tall and I can also not hang out at the window. You know, if I want to take a break and hang out 5 minutes out of the window. So what I usually do, I take down whatever I have here and I step out here. And this way is also not very comfortable, but at least I have full access to the fresh air. Also, I have to hold myself because this is quite dangerous. In case the window would fall down, I would fall down on the street as well. Usually you open the window and you just stay there, you look what's happening, you get some fresh air, possibly some sun, and you enjoy yourself for 5 minutes at the window. Here it is impossible. You've seen that the height of the window is like either too tall or too low. It's just very weird. Also, they break all the time. Americans and money. Woo! I see many Americans working in their life because of their career and not really because they see a fulfilling purpose in their job. And when you spend most of your personal resources in working because of the ultimate goal of a bigger income, to me that signifies that you're living for working and not that you're working for living. So I see a lot here that money is seen as an end rather than a means to achieve something. it's the ultimate goal. Money is the ultimate goal. Sugar, salt, and cocoa are very expensive here. And I don't understand why. I don't understand the reason. To prove you this fact, I made some research and a lot of conversions. And this is the result. Salt in Italy comes at 20 cents of euros per kilogram. And I took as an example this salt, the brand that we always buy. I think every Italian buys this brand, and I think they have the same packaging since the 50s. In the US, let's take this salt at Walmart with all the conversions made. It comes out at 50 cents of euros per kilogram. So 20 cents versus 50 cents. It's more than a double. Sugar. I took this one from a very good chain of supermarkets, so it's not super budget sugar. In the US, sugar is usually sold per pound, so all conversions made. It comes out being €1.20 per kilogram. So 80 cents versus €1.20 per kilogram of sugar. For cocoa powder, I took the Perugina one for Italy. I found different prices. Let's take the average, €1.20 per 75 grams. In the US, I think Hershey's is the most standard brand, which is sold in big packages like this one for... I found this one at Target for $4, but I remember finding it for $5-6 a pack in the past. Let's take $4. All conversions made, it's $1.33 per 75 grams. I really don't understand the aura of romanticism around marriage, and especially the big deal that weddings are here. And I guess also the whole ritual of dating is connected to this thing. Americans have a step-by-step process when you start dating a person, when you start calling that person boyfriend or girlfriend, and then there is this whole ritual of the proposal, which, I'm sorry, but I find it so antiquated. Still nowadays, in 2021, the man has to propose to the woman, and women will wait for the man to knee down at the very particular magic romantic moment in a magic romantic place. They have to knee down and show them a ring and ask them, will you marry me? Oh my god, I thought Italy was a traditionalist country. If you did it just for the ritual, it would be fine, but I see couples that don't even talk in their daily life about the possibility of getting married because the woman is just expecting her partner to make the move, the big move, you know, and then you are expected to say yes. If you say no, it means that you are not in love with that person, and then many times couples just break up. Come on, maybe you're just having more doubts, you need to talk things through a little bit more. I really don't understand this. I think that marriage is a huge step into a relationship and should be discussed for a long, extended period of time between the couple in a rational way before you decide. The holes in the roads. The problems with the holes in the US that I found both in your city and out of the city is the type of holes. So in Italy, usually if a part of the road is very ruined, you will see it in advance because there is a big patch of the road that is ruined, and then maybe in the middle there are two big holes that you really have to slow down to pass them without damage. Here instead, the holes are just unexpected. They are very sharp kind of holes where all the asphalt around them can be perfectly smooth. So you don't see them coming and you don't have time to slow down. Also, if we compare the big highways in Italy, they are private, but they are perfect. The asphalt is absolutely spotless. In the US, no bueno. On the highway, you cannot really deviate so much or slow down for holes, and you can find really big holes that will damage your car in the middle of the highway. You don't see them until you are very, very close to them. So there's nothing you can do but just hit them. Number 8. This video would not be complete if I didn't talk about the Imperial system. Why the imperial system? We really don't know. The entire rest of the world uses one method for measuring everything. The United States uses the imperial system. Pounds, yards, gallons, quarts, ounces, feet, inches, pints, miles, acres. Fahrenheit! Oh my god, the Fahrenheit! The scale to measure the temperature is the one that makes the least sense probably for me, because come on. The water boils at 210 degrees and it freezes at 32 degrees. Why? Why do you still keep it? And actually this is a question that I asked to many Americans, and many of them, they simply tell me, can you imagine how expensive and time-consuming this whole process of conversion would be? Yes, I can imagine, but at some point in history you will have to go through this process. Like, you cannot continue this nonsense. So why would you do it later than earlier? Number 9 is the abbreviation and acronyms. They are everywhere. Not only in certain specific uses of the language, but they become so common that people start using them in the normal language. The first environment where I realized about this fact was the New York City subway. Already the signs of the subway in New York City to me are so hard to understand. One thing that makes them even harder to understand is that certain words are abbreviated, which now that I got used to them are very simple to read, but when I was a tourist coming here for the first time, it was super hard. BLVD, Boulevard. Bedford Ave, Avenue. BKLNY. BKLNY, what the hell is that? It's Brooklyn! But then there are the cases where you ask an American where he's originally from and he will answer Hampton, VA. What the hell is VA? It's Virginia. Or Woodstock, VT. Vermont. And I always wonder, why don't you say Virginia or Vermont? Shall we talk about the acronyms for New York City? NYPD, NYU, NYCAH, NYPL. Without considering the fact that often this city is called NYC instead of New York. Isn't it easier to say New York? Also, if you live here and you text with Americans, be ready to know the following abbreviations: BTW, EDK, IMO, IRL, TBH, LMK, MYOB, TMI, FYI. Oh, then there is BF, which I never understood if it's boyfriend or best friend. And to wrap up this point, just a few more ones that you need to know if you come to the US. ADD, ADHD, CDC, ESL, ID, MD, HR, CST, EST, PST, ETA. And the other day I went to get my vaccine. On the form it was written DBO, DOB, DOB. What the hell is DOB? I got all warmed up now. Look at this. I have the feeling that I started this video in a very quiet tone until I was yelling at the end. The last point of this list is very, very philosophical. I hope you don't mind that. It's the fact that money here seems to be the biggest value of all. Very often money is, or profit, I should say profit, is seen as that parameter that determines the way one individual should behave. For example, choosing a job that has a bigger income is considered as morally good. Or if an entrepreneur has been able to build a very profitable business, that's considered good. Again, good in a moral sense. So after about 2 years of living in this country, I confirmed, at least in my head, that this society considers profit not only as a good moral value, but as the highest moral value possible. Again, this is the result of my personal speculations, of 2 years of observation of American society. Let me know in the comments if you disagree with this, because I'm not saying that I have the truth in my pocket. So my question at this point is, how can an ethic, so a system of moral values, be built on top of a highest moral value such as profit? And this is not a rhetorical question. I'm not saying that this is not possible. I just don't understand how this would be possible, because I come from a tradition where moral values have a completely different hierarchy. This is certainly the biggest thing that I don't understand about the United States. It is the biggest doubt that still I have in my mind after 2 years of living here. That's it for one half of this topic, but now go click this link in the card to discover the 10 things that an American doesn't understand about Italy. His name is Steven Miguel, he's from the state of Georgia and he's lived in Italy for 4 years. I started watching his channel XP Life Now several months ago and then I asked him to collaborate. I like how balanced and reasonable his cultural comparisons are, and I love his calming tone of voice and the fact that he speaks a very clear and proper English, which is not very common nowadays on YouTube. If you also find these videos very interesting, you can do what I did. Subscribe to his channel and click the bell button for the notifications. I'm Mary Jane and I'll see you next Sunday.